All right, thanks everybody for being here. We'll go ahead and get started on our work session, address any changes, and then we'll be ready to go at 6 o'clock for the council meeting. We will have a proclamation for National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, then a presentation with the Alabama Forestry Commission for Tree City, USA. Approval of minutes. Any questions on any of those? Nope. All right, set public hearings. Ordinance 22-4539, approved zoning request 140922 for property located at 2319 Old Moulton Road Southwest to be zoned M1A Commercial Expressway District. No changes. Any questions? Ordinance 22-4540, approved rezoning request 140822 for property located at 749 Danville Road Southwest to be rezoned from R2 Single Family Residential to B1 Local Shopping District. No. Any questions? Do you know if that property was rezoned? It's like R4, I think, where I'm next to it, the funeral home. Was it rezoned to that when it was an existing structure?
Majority of that is R2.
So R2. So it's a funeral home in R2. My question is, was it rezoned to R2 after that?
I believe it was R2 when the funeral home went in.
Okay.
It was rezoned to that.
So you can have a funeral home in R2.
On appeal is.
Okay. Interesting. Some R2 zoning, start a funeral home. All right, any other questions? Yeah, any other questions? All right, public hearings, ordinance 22-4534, approved zoning request 140222 for property located at 4318 Central Avenue Southwest to be zoned R1 Single Family Residential District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022. Any questions? Ordinance 22-4535 approves rezoning request 140322 for property located at 2845 Modus Road Southwest from Ag 1 Agricultural District to an R5 Single Family Patio Home District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022. Any questions? Ordinance 22-4536, approved rezoning 140422 for property located at 502 Clark Street Southwest from R2 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022. Any questions? Ordinance 22-4537, approved rezoning request 140522 for property located at 3105 Old Moulton Road Southwest from Ag 1 Agricultural District and R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District to an R4 Multifamily Residential District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022. Any questions? Resolution 22-298, approved request for restaurant retail liquor license for Red Pier of Decatur Incorporated at 1208 Beltline Road Southwest, Decatur, Alabama 35601.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 22-299, approved request for off-premise beer and wine license for Houchins Food Group Incorporated doing business as Hometown Market, number 33 at 1826 Avenue Southeast, Decatur, Alabama 35601.
No changes.
Any questions? All right, weed abatements. David, any changes?
Oh, sir, no changes.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolutions. Resolution 22-310, approved request for a special use permit for T-Mobile to modify equipment on an existing tower located at 4216 Highway 31 South. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-311, approved rescheduling of the December 5th, 2022 council meeting on Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. Any questions? Resolution 22-312, authorize mayor to accept educational trust fund grant for Sykes Cemetery.
No changes.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-313, approved fee schedule adjustment for applications made to the planning department. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-314, approved vacation 54322 submitted by Hospitality Acquisition Company LLC. Request to vacate .15 acres of DUT easement located at 1205 Courtyard Circle Southwest. Any questions? All right, Resolution 22-315, authorize Police Department to accept Air Products donation in the amount of $2,500. Any questions? Resolution 22-316, authorize mayor to execute DEA task force agreement. Any questions? Resolution 22-317, approved budget amendment for miscellaneous engineering additional costs for the parking deck. Any questions? Resolution 22-318, FY23 budget amendment funding of previously approved items and projects. Did we have, I thought we added,
Oh, we added, we did add something. It was,
Get on my phone.
I've got it somewhere.
Was the slides at Banks Park
that's right.
and irrigation building Spirit of America. The slides are 7,100 and the irrigation's 2,784.
Okay, any questions? All right. Resolution 22-319, award bid number 22022 for alley cutting services to L&L Outdoors. Any questions? Resolution 22-320, award bid number 22034 for grounds maintenance to Superior Services. Any questions? Resolution 22-321, award bid number 22036 for right-of-way maintenance to Thrive Outdoors. Any questions? Resolution 22-323, reclassify Environmental Services Department equipment operator job titles to truck driver job titles.
No changes.
Any questions? All right, Resolution 22-324, provide funding of Deerfoot Drainage Project right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah, that's just so we'll have adequate funds to acquire the right of way, and if we go to probate court to condemn some of the property, if we can't make an agreement, it covers those costs. That's what, the purpose of that is to acquire the right of way, is the bottom line.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-325, approve Thomason Design Standards for Historic District Agreement.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 22-326, approve laydown yard agreement with Century Construction Group regarding college dorm project.
It was a slight adjustment that determined that they did not need as much space as we first contemplated, so it's just the first aisle as opposed to the first two aisles. It's off of First Avenue. This is to lay down yards for the dormitory project. Century.
Any questions? Resolution 22-327, approve DYS lease agreement for facilities and boxing arena.
You know, that needs a little bit of discussion, and Mr. Watkins is here. Basically, we just want to make you aware that they have negotiated what they feel to be a very comfortable lease, but we need to make the council aware that somebody that we're in litigation with presently owns the building. It's my understanding they're comfortable, they knew that, they're comfortable with this lease, but the council needs to know that in order to be fair to y'all.
Okay, any questions?
Can I make sure you guys know I did, Mr. Childers, and he did reply to me that he was not in a lawsuit with you guys. Before I chose to rent this building for him, I talked to him personally, and MZL did as well. So I want y'all guys to know that we talk personally. Whether it's true or not, I have to go over this.
Well, it's not true, and it doesn't surprise me. All right, any other questions?
Well, he says it's his company.
Well,
I'm just trying to share with you.
so you can
That's what it
separate
covers.
your, okay.
I'm just trying to give you all that we know.
No, I appreciate that, Brandon.
Yes,
but-
yeah, that's good.
All right, ordinance, any other discussion or questions? Ordinances first reading, ordinance number 224541, historic preservation chapter revision. Any questions? Ordinance 224542, approve annexation 37322, 2.5 acres located at 2210 8th Street Southwest. Any questions? I think Kyle, you had something for the work session.
Yeah, so last week we kind of tipped our toes in the water regarding the management group to run our properties that will be underneath the parking deck. Leadership met, and it's our recommendation we go with Parker Real Estate. And I just wanted to make you guys aware of that for discussion prior to getting this on the agenda. To a future agenda, not this agenda, a future agenda.
Okay. If we want to get a contract on we would have to vote on the contract,
Contract, correct.
correct? Okay. I have no problem unless other people do about getting that on the agenda to vote on and discuss, but.
I think we need to move forward as fast as possible.
Okay.
That way,
That's why I'm bringing it up tonight.
once that thing starts going vertical, it'll move quick, and we want to make sure that
Yeah.
that company's got enough time to.
Who all was interviewed?
We had 3 people submit to the RFP. It was Parker Real Estate, Merritt House, and Merrimack. Marmac.
Does anybody have an issue with taking not approving, but taking the recommendation that we have and getting it on an agenda to either vote yes or no on?
So the RFP, I'm guessing this means they put in for a certain amount. What was the amount? Can you discuss the amount that they put in for? And-
You're asking what their fee
Yeah,
would be?
yes.
Their fee is 6% of gross rents with a floor of $750 a month. And then the leasing cost is 8% of total base rent on the primary leases.
Is it the lowest?
It is not the lowest.
Who's the lowest?
The lowest is, I believe, where's Charles? I believe it was Marmac.
Okay.
So this is probably discussion when we have something to vote on and discuss, but there's other.
Correct. It wasn't
things.
necessarily apples to apples with the services that were gonna be provided and the cost. So what I'm getting at is the services that Parker Real Estate are providing aren't the exact services that Marmac were providing. Hence, comparing the two costs is not accurate.
And experience in these type of retail.
A lot of our
Units.
decision was made off of the experience and the affiliations and the technology and the things that were presented in the proposals,
It's in, yeah.
which I believe all of you got a copy of.
Yeah, it was in there last week. All right, anybody have an issue with taking that recommendation and putting it on an agenda for us to discuss and either vote yes or no on? All right, well, let's move forward with that.
Let me make sure, you're just gonna tell us whether that's what you wanna do, and then we go do an agreement? I'm just trying to.
We have to vote on the contract? Do we have to vote on the contract? I'm personally not saying I'm approving that selection tonight. What I'm saying is, it sounds like everybody's okay with getting that on an agenda for us to discuss and vote yes or no on. So let's move forward with the recommendation of getting it on an agenda.
For that vendor.
Yes.
I mean, I'd much rather we go with the lowest, personally, but I mean, if there's any objection to that, I'm guessing there is objection to that,
Well,
'cause I don't know how we'd go about.
Do we need to move forward with a formal agreement, what I'm asking?
Yes, that we can vote on.
Right, that's what I wanna make sure.
But when we have that discussion, you can make that point,
Okay.
and maybe we don't approve it, so. All right, any other discussion? All right, we will get started at 6 o'clock. Thanks. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Reverend James Henderson from St. Paul's Lutheran Church will lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to pray as we ask the Lord's blessings on our city, our council, and everyone present. Let us pray. Father, thank you for the inalienable rights that you gave us, the rights to life, to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Lord, thank you for our constitutional form of government and all who have defended our nation, past, present, and future. God bless our armed forces, many who are serving in dangerous and difficult situations a long way from home. Lord, we ask your blessings on our police and fire departments and all who serve our city. Lord, we ask your blessings on these proceedings, and most of all, help each of us fulfill the purposes for which you created us. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Amen. Please join me as we do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call. Here.
McMaster.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Hodges.
Here.
Pepper.
Here. All right, first on the agenda is a proclamation from the mayor.
Yes, this is a proclamation recognizing National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. Ms. Schultz, would you mind joining me? All right. Thank you for being here tonight. So, proclamation says, whereas 1.6 million Americans living with lifetime illness and their families receive care from the nation's hospice programs in communities throughout the United States in 2021, and whereas more than 468,000 trained volunteers contribute 22 million hours of service to hospice programs annually, and whereas the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services have pledged to put patients first in all of its programs, including hospice, ensuring a coordinated and patient-led approach to care, protecting patient choice and access to individualized services based on a patient's unique care, needs, and wishes. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Tab Bowling, Mayor, along with our City Council, by virtue of the authority vested in me by Decatur, Morgan County, Alabama, do hereby proclaim November 2022 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, discuss their end-of-life wishes with their family, and observe this month with the appropriate activities and programs. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have a presentation, Katie Wiswell and Robert Maddox with the Alabama Forestry Commission, Tree City, USA.
Thank you guys very much. I kind of, over here.
There's a mic there, so the people on live stream like to hear us.
Robert's right, I'm somewhat loud. So thank you very much for just a few minutes of your time. I'm Katie Wiswell. I'm the Urban Forestry Partnership Coordinator for the state of Alabama for the Alabama Forestry Commission. And this is Robert Maddox. He's the forester for the Forestry Commission who oversees Morgan, Madison, Limestone, and Lawrence counties for the Forestry Commission. So if you have an immediate tree need, you call Robert, whose office is here in Decatur. He can help you with one tree or your 40 acres of trees. And I work statewide, helping cities, among other things, take care of their urban forests. And I just want to congratulate Decatur for celebrating 11 years as a Tree City USA. This is actually what you accomplished for 2021. These look like bumper stickers, but they actually go on a street sign that's about the size of a speed limit sign that proclaims you are a Tree City USA, and it celebrates your 11th year. You're working on your 12th year this year. So you get that and this nice little maple leaf medallion with the year 2021 on it, recognizing 2021 as one of the years that you were recognized as a Tree City USA. And this is sort of a baseline recognition for the city that you have some care for your tree canopy, that you're doing work to maintain or improve it. And it just recognizes what you are working to accomplish. And I just want to say thank you guys very much for being a Tree City and for working to maintain or improve your tree canopy.
Thank you.
And I'll leave this with your city clerk so that she can give it to the right person to put on the signs.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we will start with public comments, and we had one person sign in for public comments, and it's Miss Andrea Hoffmeyer Wilson.
Thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome.
Well, I have a fun and exciting topic for this evening. It's trees. So just to follow on, Katie and Robert were so kind to give their time to us this afternoon. We had an inaugural event for the Citizen Tree Stewards of Tennessee Valley. So we're really excited about it. The whole concept that Katie and I came up with after the Alabama Urban Forestry Association conference is that it would be really terrific if we could develop the competencies amongst citizens that normally is just within a tree board. So we are going to be adapting and developing the curriculum for Tree Board Academy to citizen tree stewards. So we're really excited about it. We actually have some folks from other areas who want to get involved, Priceville and such. So we'll be keeping you guys updated on what we've got with that. It is Citizen Tree Stewards. You guys are citizens too. So and city employees and everything. It's not just private citizens. It's everybody. And we've also tapped into some other great opportunities with the Alabama Forestry Commission for doing the tree canopy mapping, and there is a grant available for that to just get some really great data on that. And so I think Lee, Terry will probably be really excited to see that resource and everything. So very, very excited about it. I'd also like to recognize Astrid, because she's the one who, for 2021, really put a lot of effort into pulling together the data for our 2021 recognition as Tree City USA. Our event today counted for our event for 2022. So we're on our way. In 2023, we want to win a growth award for Tree City USA. So we'll be doing some fun, exciting things with planting and education and getting kids involved and stuff like that. So thank you so much. And I don't think that the timer was going.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it all there. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrea. All right, we'll move into the agenda. First on our agenda is approval of minutes. We'll take A, B, and C together, and then D separately.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. This is for A, B, and C. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pettit.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 5-0. And now D.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Blackman.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
White. Pepper.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 4-0 with one abstention. All right, moving into set public hearings. Ordinance number 224539, approved zoning request 140922 for property located at 2319 Old Moulton Road Southwest to be zoned M1A Commercial Expressway District. And again, these public hearings are set for December 5th, but we do have an item on the agenda later to potentially move that meeting to the 6th. So, Lee.
Yes, this is the zoning, or the annexation was recently completed on this piece of property, and this will be applying the initial zoning to it. It is along the Beltline corridor there.
Any questions? All right, ordinance number 224540, approved rezoning request 140822 for property located at 749 Danville Road Southwest to be rezoned from R2 Single Family Residential to B1 Local Shopping District.
Yes, this one is next to the cemetery there on Danville Road, and the stated reason for that one is they would like to open a florist. This one was not recommended for approval.
So this is an appeal.
Yes, yes.
All right, any questions? All right, moving into public hearings, ordinance number 224534, approved zoning request 140222 for property located at 4318 Central Avenue Southwest to be zoned R1 Single Family Residential District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022.
Yes, this is a existing house on this property. The annexation was approved a couple of months ago, and this is applying the initial zoning. This was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
So moved.
All right, let's, I'm on the.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Go ahead and open the public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. I did hear if there's no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed. I did hear a motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Blackner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance 224534 is approved 5-0. Next is ordinance 224535, approved rezoning request 140322 for property located at 2845 Modus Road Southwest from Ag 1 Agricultural District to an R5 Single Family Patio Home District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022.
Yes, this one goes along with a couple of other rezonings that were done on adjacent properties. Contracting issues delayed this one, but this is the last piece of the larger Castle Rock development.
All right, seeing this is a public hearing, if there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Blackner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance 224535 is approved 5-0. Next is ordinance number 224536, approved rezoning 140422 for property located at 502 Clark Street Southwest from R2 Single Family Residential District to an R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022.
Yes, this is a larger piece of property, so it'll be kind of an infill development. This is just off of Spring Avenue. Looking to go R6 for the potential to do some townhomes on this property, and this was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
All right, we will open the public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Blackner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance 224536 approved 5-0. Next is ordinance 224537, approved rezoning request 140522 for property located at 3105 Old Moulton Road Southwest from Ag 1 Agricultural District and R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District to an R4 Multifamily Residential District. Public hearing was set October 3rd, 2022.
Yes, this is a piece of property there on Old Moulton Road, just to the west of Shady Grove Lane. Current owner is Habitat for Humanity, and that's who the application is made in the name of, but a developer has approached the Habitat about purchasing this property for a multifamily development on that site, and this was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
All right, this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing now. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. Yes, sir. If you don't mind, when you get to the podium, just state your name and address, and we'll do 3 minutes for comments.
I'm going to pass, that's a list of objections. This is a map of wetlands for the property. This whole property just about is a wetland. Look at that. I think it's ironic tonight that we came together to talk about trees. We have this piece of property that's 31 acres. It's zoned as a wetland by the Fish and Wildlife Service, which is a very difficult zoning to change. It also has 2 TVA power line right-of-ways. In 2016, this piece of property was under 3 feet of water. I want the real estate developer to tell us why this is an ideal site for 200 apartments to be built. The drainage, the roads, the school district, it's sitting on a piece of limestone that will require blasting if you put retention ponds there. It's just a messed up piece of property. Behind me, there's 417 acres for sale that's cropland. It's available for development. It fronts on a 4-lane road and a 2-lane road and would be ideal for development and would cost the city of Decatur a lot of money. We also have a problem with drainage in the area. We're dumping water into a ditch that's not being maintained. If you drive out Old Moulton Road when there's a 3-inch rain, you'll find out what some of the problems are. And I just wonder if y'all want this on your resume when you run for re-election.
Do you mind giving your name and address? I'm sorry.
Cecil Founders, 3140 Old Moulton Road. I'm right across the street from the property.
Thank you, sir. All right, still have an open public hearing if there's anyone else here to speak.
I'm gonna.
Well, let's,
that's what I was gonna ask.
anyone else here to speak on this item? Yes, sir. And name.
Brian Hatchell, WID, 880 Montclair Road, Birmingham. We're the civil engineer for the project. This project is currently zoned Ag 1, as we talked about earlier. We are requesting to rezone it to R4 multifamily. In that rezoning, per the city ordinance, we could rezone that property up to 694 units. We're only asking for 200 per the site plan that you guys have seen. Part of it is due to the reasons that he mentioned. Part of it's due to that's not what our intent for this property is. We're looking at a cottage multifamily style, kind of like the cottages at Old Monrovia that some of you have seen in Huntsville. This is not the 3-story garden style that we're used to seeing from the 70s. This is kind of the new way it's going as far as multifamily goes. This is a market rate deal. This is not low income in any stretch of the imagination. This is amenities, this is pools, majority 2 and 3 bedrooms, aimed at families and young professionals. That's kind of what the intent of this development is. I totally understand some of the points that we heard in previous things, drainage, wetlands. We understand that. That's kind of our job to figure that portion out in the process. The developer is here tonight with Realty Link out of Birmingham. I'm more than happy to answer questions for you if you have any. The current Old Moulton Road traffic is about 20% of its capacity at the moment. With this development, it's still gonna be less than 30%. Based on the numbers in the Planning Commission, talking to engineering, it's gonna be around the 28% mark. This development does not add traffic at a rate that negatively impacts surrounding areas. As far as drainage goes, I understand the wetlands. We've had a wetland survey done by an environmental engineer. It's not the entire property, it's some of the property. We do know where they are. The site plan you see actually works around a lot of them, and it's been thought of. So we're here to answer questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, seeing no one else here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
I've kind of gone back and forth on this one, but when I came to the planning commission meeting, the residents in that immediate community were opposed to this, which they are a lot of times. And the gentleman tonight talked about a percentage of that being wetlands, but I've always said, and you guys have heard me say it so many times before, that I think that the residents should have a reasonable say as to what goes into a community that they've invested in. And I understand too that the apartments are going to be, they're not going to be, it's going to be low density. I fully understand that. But the residents of this, I mean, at the planning commission, and Kent, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, they didn't want it. Is that accurate? Would that be accurate to say? Yeah. And so I'm going to not support this tonight. I think personally it's about as good as we can possibly be, a situation as we can possibly be in with the low density. But again, I think that the residents of any community should have say as to what goes on in their community. So I won't support this tonight. And I appreciate what the planning commission did. I do. They, I think they went through and looked at all the options, and I'm not in total disagreement with their final assessment, but I do think that this is one of those borderline issues that I'm just not going to be able to support.
All right, thanks, Mr. Jackson. Any other discussion? I'll say a couple of things. One, there's a lot going on in that area of the city. A lot of development, new ball fields. We are actively looking at widening Modus Road to help some of the traffic issues there. So trying to be proactive on that, on traffic and widening of the road. The other thing, I've driven back there probably 20 times since the Planning Commission, different times of the day. The only issue I saw, and Carl, you might be able to help me, and if we start to see a development like this or others that are coming, houses start to be being built, turning right onto Old Moulton off of Modus is difficult. I feel like I'm gonna fall in a ditch there when you come to that intersection. All Modus all the way in, and you're turning right back onto Old Moulton.
Off of Shady Grove?
No, past Shady Grove all the way down to that intersection.
Yeah, I got you, excuse me.
It's the county? I need to call Jeff Clark. But that is an issue that, I mean, it's a difficult turn there, but, well, I guess if he wins tomorrow.
Been working on a project.
Okay.
Drainage in that intersection.
Okay. That's something we need to talk to them about because there is an issue at that intersection. But other than that, I don't think with the widening that we're seeing, all those drainage issues is on these guys and in the city as well. And one other comment, if I ever sit up here and vote or make decisions to build my resume for the next election, I hope somebody throws me off this dais. Because those are the worst type of politicians, and it's the politicians that I don't like that only make decisions to get reelected the next election. So just a general comment. Any other discussion? All right, we've got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blackman.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Abstain.
All right, ordinance 22-4537 is approved 3-1 with 1 abstention. Next, we have resolution 22-298, approved request for restaurant retail liquor license for Red Pier of Decatur Incorporated at 1208 Beltline Road Southwest, Decatur, Alabama 35601. Lori?
Okay, and this is a new restaurant that's requesting a restaurant retail liquor license.
All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. Seeing no one here to speak,
So moved.
we'll consider the public hearing closed. I do have a motion from Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second from Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-298 is approved 5-0. Resolution 22-299, approved request for off-premise beer and wine license for Houchins Food Group Incorporated, doing business as Hometown Market, number 33 at 1820 6th Avenue, Southeast Decatur, Alabama 35601.
This is a change in ownership to Houchins, who has purchased this.
All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. Seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-299 is approved 5-0. Next, we have our weed abatements. Anyone have anything, any reason we should take them all at once? David, anything?
No, sir, no
Changes?
changes.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters, and this is for all the weed abatements A through J. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
All the resolutions approved 4-1.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Resolutions, Resolution 22-310, approved request for a special use permit for T-Mobile to modify equipment on an existing tower located at 4216 Highway 31 South.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is David Ammett. I'm with CMS. T-Mobile has made an application to modify their equipment on the existing guy tower located at 4216 Highway 31 South. T-Mobile is currently providing service from this 320-foot tower. They currently have 6 antennas mounted on the tower. T-Mobile is proposing to remove 3 of the existing antennas and replace them with 3 new antennas. This is for a technology upgrade, so the antenna count will remain at 6. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval by the council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-310 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-311, approve rescheduling of the December 5th, 2022 council meeting to Tuesday, December 6th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? This is for the, I think there's a Christmas parade going on out here at the same time. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-311 approved 4-1. Resolution 22-312, authorize mayor to accept educational trust fund grant for Sykes Cemetery.
This is a grant from the Educational Trust Fund. It's $20,000. It is a non-match grant, so the city does not need to match the grant.
All right.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike,
Second.
second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion?
I just want to thank you for your work that you put into this, you and Alan and anybody else who's involved in this. I appreciate it, and the community appreciates it as well. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
So this is mapping, right?
Yes, so this is bringing in a firm to basically do GIS mapping. We don't have a plot map for the cemetery, and so this will put it into the city's GIS system so that they'll be able to see which grave is located where, and also what information is on the grave.
And as I've shared with you before, you won't find a plot map for this.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-312 is approved 5-0. Resolution 22-313, approved fee schedule adjustment for applications made to the planning department.
Yes, Our fees for our applications made for all items submitted to the planning department have not been adjusted for a long time. So we've gotten behind what it's actually costing the city for each one of these items. That cost has always traditionally been passed on to the applicant for these items. This will get us more to a break-even point on the cost to the city for these items. Also included in your packet should have been a comparison to a couple other cities around us to kind of show that it's kind of in line generally with what other cities around us are charging.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Lee, did I overlook, or is it just not on here, consolidations?
A consolidate, we call a certificate to subdivide. It's interchangeable with subdividing property and consolidating property. So it's one title for the same action.
So it's on here, actually?
A certificate to subdivide is
Okay, I
what
see it
that's
there. I
called,
see it
but
now.
a consolidation would fall under that category.
Okay, so, okay. All right.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
No.
Resolution 22-313 is approved 4-1. Resolution 313, Resolution 22-314, approved vacation 54322 submitted by Hospitality Acquisition Company LLC. Request to vacate 0.15 acres of a DUT easement located at 1205 Courtyard Circle Southwest.
Yes, this is a easement that used to run along a property boundary between two pieces of land. Both of those pieces have been consolidated now, and they are looking to build a hotel on this site. The easement that serves for the drainage, when the site plan is submitted, that drainage will be rerouted around the side of the property to the detention for the larger hotel development.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-314 is approved 5-0. Resolution 22-315, authorize police department to accept Air Products donation in the amount of $2,500.
Council, Mayor, Council President, Chief Opinion here at the Police Department. This is just the $2,500 donation from them we typically use for our ACES program that we do during the summer. It's kind of annual thing that we get from them every year.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-315 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-316, authorize mayor to execute DEA task force agreement.
This is for us, for our narcotics unit to team up with the Drug Enforcement Agency for our MOU for our task force. We're going to have an officer that will be helping out and going with that for drugs.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-316 is approved 5-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-317, approved budget amendment for miscellaneous engineering, additional costs for the parking deck.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this is just a request to ask for some funding to cover any miscellaneous stuff that comes up while we're building a parking deck. Could be really just anything.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
I've already stated my position on this, so I won't belabor that, but I won't support this tonight.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-317 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Next is Resolution 22-318, FY23 budget amendment funding of previously approved items and projects.
Yes, Council, this is a resolution we consider the rollover resolution. So essentially any products or equipment that were purchased that have not yet been received or performed, the funding that we have allocated for that will since be closed at the end of the current year and then move into the next year. So that's what this resolution essentially does.
So
Okay,
moved.
before we do that, I did need to point out Mr. Pepper has stepped off the dais.
Sorry, Rick.
I think I heard a motion from Mr. McMasters. Second from Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Resolution 22-318 is approved 4-0. Resolution 22-319, award bid number 22022 for alley cutting services to L&L Outdoors.
Yes, Council President, Mayor, and Council, I'm Charles Booth, the purchase agent for the city. L&L was the low bidder at $24,000 per cut.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Charles, the cumulative of all of these put together going around the entire city for one trip around is $170,000+ a year.
Yes.
I mean, per going, not per year, excuse me. And we budgeted just over $1 million for that, correct, Kyle?
1.3, are you talking specifically to these agenda items or contract mowing across the city?
Well, contract mowing across the city is more than this, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so if we're looking at roughly 7 to 8 mowings around the city. And I think that we're gonna have to, I mean, our city's not looking well kept as we speak. So it's kind of interesting that we're doing this and it's open-ended. We've got a budget set, but we're not necessarily gonna follow that. So, I mean, and we're gonna have to add to that. I think in 2003, 2004, when we initially did this, my concern at that particular time and the cost for me not supporting that was because we were going to be put over a barrel. The number was going to continuously go up, and that's exactly where we are now. So I can't support this because it's open-ended. We're not going to be able to. I think if anyone in this room mowed their grass 6 to 8 times a year, it would look pretty bad. And I think that's where we are as a city. So I think there's a much more effective way of doing this that we are not exploring. And so I think that I won't support this tonight.
So the right-of-way maintenance, just, normally we want to say thank you, Mr. Jackson, and go on, but the right-of-way maintenance that will come up here shortly and be awarded to Thrive will be, that's once a week during the mowing season, not 7 mowings. Okay.
So it's going to be even more than this. I mean,
Well,
our numbers are going to continue.
Mr. Booth will lay it out. I just want to make sure that
our numbers are.
somebody doesn't think that it's 7
I've
times a
spoken with
week.
Mr. Booth about it, and
7 times a year, excuse me.
Yeah, our numbers are going to continually go up. So we're not going to make budget with this. If we're going to have our city looking well manicured like many cities do, we're not going to be able to meet our budget. We're going to go over that, and we're going to go over that fairly quickly.
Any other discussion? And we've got 2 more kind of on the same
You're right.
Track, but I do think at some point, I definitely know for years the comments have been about potentially taking it back in-house. You know, there's big capital expense. Obviously, we have to hire people, which is difficult right now. But I do think at some point it's worth an exercise in looking at, just to see what would that cost be for the council. I'm not saying we have to do that. I'm personally not saying we have to do that before we vote on these, but in the next year, I don't know that that's a bad exercise to go through, just to reevaluate how we do it. But
and you're right. Let me just add to what you're saying. You're right. Capital expense is going to be significant. But when we did this, and of course we did this 20 years ago, that was my concern, that once we sell off our equipment, that we're almost held hostage by lawn care companies, and that's kind of where we found ourselves. It's continually gone up, and I understand inflation and everything else causes costs to go up, but we've consistently gone up, and that was the fear that we just would run into that situation where there's no end to the cost that we're experiencing. So that's where we are. You're right. It's going to cost us to get back into it, but I still think that after the initial cost, that we can do a better job and be more efficient at doing it than we're paying for outsiders to do this.
I mean, I don't disagree with what either of you has said. And,
you know, I wish we still had it in-house for this, you know, this exact reason right here. And, you know, some preliminary, you know, just poking around discussions I've had, it's been just like what, you know, what you guys are saying. It's the initial cost, and are we actually saving money by subbing it out without the initial cost? So, you know, maybe it's worth looking into, you know.
I think it's worth an exercise to make sure the route we took 17 years ago, I don't know, when was that?
It's like 2003, 2004.
Yeah, 17, 18 years ago is worth.
Councilman, I know you've mentioned this several times throughout the budget process, and we, Jason, the mayor, and I had initial conversations to look at this, and it didn't take very long for us to add up the cost to say it would cost us more. Not to say that we couldn't do a better job than the company. I'm not saying that.
Which is also an important piece of it.
Correct. But there are a lot of other aspects to think about when you're dealing with personnel, from IT standpoints to HR standpoints to legal standpoints. It's more than just buying capital.
When I speak of it costing the city less, of course we have to consider personnel. But for all practical purposes, this is mostly seasonal. I mean, we can go beyond or we can start early, but this is mostly seasonal.
Right, which gives more concern to hire someone who's going to work seasonal.
It's exactly
work
like what
full-time.
our Decatur City Schools does. They do the same thing. And they hire seasonal workers, and that's the area that we would have to go into. I mean, again, it's going to cost us to get back into it, but I think that we can save money, and I know that we can do a much better job. If you go down Central Parkway, in the area where they're looking at getting their building, what our contractors did was they went through and they cut it and they sprayed it, and everything in that area is dead, and it looks terrible. And anybody visiting our city that sees that, I mean, if that's your first impression, it's not a good lasting impression. It can be a lasting impression, but it looks terrible. And where we're going in and we're spraying so that we don't have to mow as often, it looks bad. And so, you know, I just know that we have a much better answer. And even if it did, and I don't think it will by any stroke of the imagination, but even if it did cost us more, I think in the long run, if we had a solution that worked for us, where we were getting our grounds mowed on a regular basis and it looked good and it was appealing to people who come to visit our city, then in the long run it helps us. So that's where I am on the situation.
And I don't have a problem doing the exercise of.
Sounds like you've already done some of it.
It was preliminary stuff, but I don't have specific dollars and cents for you.
I think it'd be something good for us to look. All I'm saying is, it's always good to reevaluate. So,
no
I'd like to see your numbers that you worked with too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we all need to see those. All right. Any other discussion? I do have a motion by McMaster, second by Pike. Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye. Resolution 22-319 is approved 4-1. Resolution 22-320, award bid number 22034 for grounds maintenance to Superior Services.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Charles, this is for City Hall.
And a few other properties that they maintain. It's a monthly fee though. It's $20,123 per month.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-320 is approved 5-0. Resolution 22-321, award bid number 22036 for right-of-way maintenance
So moved.
to Thrive Outdoors. Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-321 is approved 4-1. Resolution 22-323, reclassify environmental services department equipment operator job titles to truck driver job titles.
Rochelle Sandlin, Human Resources Department, and working with Daniel, and as we're trying to recruit drivers, we find that equipment operator doesn't adequately define the role, so unanimously supported by the Personnel Board, we're recommending an adoption that changes equipment operator for that department, which is solid waste, to specifically say truck driver.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pipe. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-323 is approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Resolution 22-324, provide funding of Deerfoot Drainage Project right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah, Herman Marks, legal department. This is to cover the acquisition of right-of-way for this particular project.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? And this was something that was not budgeted.
That's right.
So,
Yes, sir.
all right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pipe.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-324 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-325, approve Thomason Design Standards for Historic District Agreement.
This is to approve entering into a contract with Thomason Associates for new design standards for the historic district.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pipe.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-325 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-326, approve laydown yard agreement with Century Construction Group regarding college dorm project.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I would say that is through March 17th. Kind of looking at a timeline on the farmer's market. If it moves forward with construction, we'll start in April. So probably let Dane know they should not expect any kind of extension past March.
Because that's where
The temporary market
Yeah.
will be setting up in that same spot.
Are they gonna need any more, you know whether they'll need more space for the farmer's market?
I'm not sure exactly
don't know
if
that.
they'll need one
I got you.
or two or what.
I think Senator Orr's working on that with the farmer's market. All right, any other discussion? I did want to thank the mayor. After the meeting last week, there was some discussion, and I had some concerns, and I think others did, about the amount of space they were going to take for this laydown yard in that parking lot. I emailed the mayor and Dane, and I think Dane was out. So the mayor went and talked to Century, and they were able to consolidate that into one space. So I think that's a much better thing for us. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and the diagram that y'all are approving does what you just said.
Yeah, it's just the section closest, not two full sections. All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pipe.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-326, approved 5-0. Resolution 22-327, approved DYS lease agreement for facilities and boxing arena. Brandon?
I'd like to thank Herman and actually Lemzell for actually working hard on this contract. But the benefit behind it, we gain 5 office, keep 25 intellectual disability, because we work with them every Wednesday, and also fit the kids off the street. Everybody knows the big thing is the gun shooting, and our main goal is to make that happen. So with this building, I know it's a little confusion, but with this building, it's very beneficial. It's right up the street from DYS, and it'll be our holding spot until we get our new building built. So it's very beneficial. It's a big gain.
All right, thanks, Brandon. We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. We have a second. I'll pass the gavel if no one wants to
I'll
second.
second.
Okay. Second by Mr. Jackson. Any discussion? I know there was an issue raised earlier. Brandon needs the building. I think everything you just said, there's a lot of kids in this program. I definitely don't appreciate what seems to me to be an intentional misleading, not on your part, but somebody misled you on some technicality on who owned the building. But I do think it's something that's needed for you, and the other building is no longer available. So
I do apologize. We checked with the guy
I understand.
quite a few times.
The technicality is, are you suing us or is your company?
Yes, sir.
And that's,
Appreciate that. Thanks.
it's just not being transparent.
So, let me say too, though, that, and I'm sorry, you can go, Brandon, but, you know, we have so many kids who are involved in our boxing program. It's not an option for us on Wilson or Highway 20 anymore. So, I mean, we've got to have another place. When we looked extensively for several different places, and we actually went through several different places, And this place is available, and the other places, just for whatever reason, didn't work out. So this is, as Jacob said, this is so needed because, and as Brandon said, we have kids who are just walking the streets and not being, their time's not being occupied at this particular point. So it's important that we have a place for them. This place it works for us. It works as far as office space and a boxing facility. Parking is good, so I think that this works for us at this particular point.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-327 is approved 5-0. Next, we have ordinances first reading. Ordinance 22-4541, Historic Preservation Chapter Revision.
This is updating the existing ordinance to bring it in line with the state enabling code.
All right, it's first reading. Next is ordinance 22-4542, approve annexation 37322, 2.5 acres located at 2210 8th Street Southwest.
Yes, this is a property seeking annexation. It is adjacent to the previous annexation that was done in the area of the Littrell property that the zoning is being considered on. Their stated purpose is they would like to do a multifamily project on this site. There was a pre-zoning that was conditionally considered and given approval by the Planning Commission. Because of some deeding issues on that previous mentioned property, it slowed that down and that expired, so they're going the traditional route. You'll see just the annexation, the zoning application will follow.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, Lee, tell us more about the multifamily that they're talking about there.
Basically what they're proposing is currently 3 quadplexes is what they can fit on the site at 2.5 acres, and the angles, that's what the current proposal is on it. Once they get the answer on the annexation and the zoning, then they will do further engineering to really firm up that design.
And I heard you say I guess what's concerning to me is I heard you say what they can fit on the property. So we're not talking low density and by any stroke of the imagination. We're talking just what they can fit on the property.
And by fit on the property, that's just, it's oddly shaped, and you've got to have parking in there too. So it's not like, cramming a lot on the site. It's just kind of, because of the odd angles on it, kind of restrained placement of buildings more than anything.
Yeah, I went by and looked at it. I've been by several times, as a matter of fact, but still, even with the odd shape of it and with the configurations, I guess my understanding is they're going to try to get as much as they can there. Would that not be accurate? When you take into consideration the angles and the configurations that you talk about, I guess still there's only so much that they can do, and they're going to try to max that out from what I kind of hear.
Not being able to speak for the developer or what their true intentions are, that, like I said, what they've shown is just kind of fitting the buildings on the site. It's
okay. I know it's the first reading, so
yeah.
It's not a big deal. We'll discuss it more, but
I can definitely try to reach out and get you some more information.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other discussion? All right, our next council work session will be held on November 14th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Next city council meeting will be held on November 21st, 2022 at 10 a.m. Anything else from any directors? Mayor?
Yes, we are honored to have with us tonight Scout Adrian Cortez. Adrian, stand up all right. And are you here this evening to earn some type of badge or recognition?
Yes, sir. I'm working on my communications merit badge to be my eagle.
Okay.
Awesome.
And you attend Annunciation of the Lord Parish and St. Bernard, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're glad to have you with us tonight.
What troop is that?
Troop 7091, sir.
7091. Is that formerly Troop 92?
It was formerly Troop 91.
Oh, 90.
92 is the other one indicated.
Okay. All right, thank you. I was a member of 92, so, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, anything else from council? All right, we are adjourned. Thanks.